Then let's stay with politics. Over 36,000 NPP delegates from the Ashanti region are preparing to go to the polls on Saturday. Dr. Yao Osei-Jichum says his message of building an economy that ensures livability and also livable wages for all employees is essential in reducing unemployment. Well, he believes this can be achieved by enhancing the national economy through improvements in key sectors. Now, he has been campaigning in that region. Let's listen to him. We'll be back in the studio to tell you what other camps are up to, because we are your election headquarters.
I did a campaign devoid of insults. I will be your unifier. I'm the one who can unify the party. But when you elect me, nobody's going to say, because of what he said and how he insulted my leader, the person that I loved and voted for, I'm not going to follow him. So that is something good that I will assure you that we'll have a unified party going into the 2028 election. To my brothers and sisters, working people of Ghana, I believe that our nation must ensure that workers have livable wages. Livable wages are wages that take care of you and your family. You're able to take care of your family, pay fees and other things, and be able down the line to own a car, own a home. That is what happens in most countries that are emerging out of poverty. So livable wages is something that we need to work on as a nation. And I'm going to champion it, and I'm going to do it because it's the right thing to do. Ghanaians must prosper, and we need to increase productivity for the prosperity to happen. But there can be no increase in productivity without providing you the avenue and opportunity to be trained and to train yourself well, giving you vouchers so that you can gain skills, 21st century skills in the IT field, for example, is something that my government will pursue. Workers will be given the opportunity to train themselves well so that they can advance themselves and add value to wherever has been assigned to them at their place of work. I think I've also alluded to the fact that we have to eradicate poverty from the face of this country. Other countries have done it. If it's a very important goal and we work on it, we'll be able to do it. The idea that close to about 40% of the people are not working, or some who are working are still poor, I think it's something that should concern us, and we need to do everything possible to eradicate poverty from the face of this country.
Well, my colleague Kenneth Jesse is in the studio. He's been monitoring various activities from various camps. He joins us with updates. Ken, where is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia?
Well, so they're all wrapping up their campaigns. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is done with his campaign, and so is Kennedy Japan. And of course, we have the likes of Brian Champon, who finished this campaign quite early, but still went around the 276 constituencies again. Now, with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the former vice president, in his closing remarks, he says that he's promising one constituency, 10 appointments. So what is going to happen is that in each constituency, there's going to be a nomination of 10 individuals in the future Mahmoud Bawumia administration. So each constituency in the country is going to nominate individuals numbering up to 10 who are going to have various appointments across his government. We can listen to him.
The person member constituencies no ahwodin. Constituencies no ahwode beba. Yes, a munya nipa akuku dama omodoso ewo constituency no mo. Omo betimi aboa constituency no. Na uhwe appointments are president or ya two types. Baku a local appointments at the municipal and district level. And only MMDCs, and only director of NADMO, director of NHIS, the YEA, local appointments, no. Then the second category are president Emano, any national level appointments. So national appointments, there are about 7,000 appointments are president etimiye. But appointments no, no, me appointments no, target appointments no to strengthen the constituencies. President betimi yes appointments na constituencies bi wo ho a baakopo omunya na eba no saa no a constituencies no eni ahoden me pese 7,000 appointments ye me use sa appointments ye ema constituencies no ahoden. So out of the 7,000 appointments, me be ye 3,000 of the 7,000 ama constituencies no directly. 3,000 out of the 7,000. So ye banasa no ube won say every constituency when your appointment kura ubenya 10 national level appointments per constituency. And only ministers of state, deputy ministers of state, CEOs, deputy CEOs, chairman of board of directors, members of the board of directors, directors general, deputy directors general, members of commissions, members of authorities, ambassadors, deputy ambassadors nadia omodoso pa na ebana sanwa na monya nipa akudama omoye godfathers and godmothers 10 ewo mo constituency mo hia bibia mo wo nipa 10 a mo betimi akọ mo nan so akọgyemoa afiri omo ho omo so beye ejuma ama constituency no na omo ba na omo ji omo ni na omo nye ejuma no meyi omo di na be nipa foforo aba abehya omo nan so na omo etimi aye ejuma no ebe ma constituency no ahode kogurudo.
And then we know that Brian Champong is also on the ground. What's the update?
Yes, so Brian, in the midst of all this, Brian is presenting himself as a unifier. You know, there seems to be some sort of rift between Bawumia camp and Kennedy's camp. And he says that he is the bridge between the two candidates and that if he is voted for, he's the only one that can unite the party and eventually win them victory.
Maybe a party na do no. Meaning say ubetu abama me. Nemo misrao say me pese 2-3 days ya kei. Ube kame ho. Na ye campaign ne muo dene na ye timidi winning emphatically. Me wajidi say abatu ono diye. Onyankopon besha ne ho anyonyam. Abesha ne ho anyonyam. Enso asante mai misremo. Monya regional eba di me victory nenim. Na metimi di tumi no abaya sasi so. Menim sen cry for kakra wa ha. Eti me kan cry kakra. Me panye fai wa. Saturday oshiki eni nyana fo. Me panye fai. Koni wake wo he. Afe komehe wo. He will win 2028 elections. The big panya finding for Shiki Yakahami. I go for our med the kukunami. Mada kukunami. Wadam. What to abano famame? Nami medi party nenim. Asante mine. Aho brasiemu. Nyami slomu. Obuemu. Men koto jogu form. Memene da me jano me nanum. Minuanum, me wafanum. Mensenum. Mon kaime. Dr. Brian Champong. Namon tuabano enfama me. Asante mai buame. Asante mai mumuame. Asante mai mumuame. Na meso me bu asante mai. Asante mai mumuame.
Well, Ken is still with me in the studio. We're just looking at just 2 days to that crucial election.
Yeah.
What else should we expect?
Well, so the candidates are virtually done with their campaigns, but of course they're trying to send their final messages to the delegates before the D-Day on the 31st of January 2026, which is just this Saturday. So just this evening at 6 p.m., Brian Champong is going to address the nation. And then right after that, at 7 p.m., the General Secretary of the party, Justin Kudia-Frimpong, is also going to address party supporters. And then at 8 p.m., we're going to see an address from Kennedy Ejapon as well. The two addresses, the Brian Ejapon address and the Kennedy Ejapon address, are all going to be live on JoyNews. We're yet to get any confirmation as to whether Team Bawumia is also going to make a similar address. But of course, you can anticipate that such an address is also going to come from them. So in the twilight of the campaign season, they are all trying to win the votes of the over 200,000 delegates who will be queuing to vote on the 31st of January, 2026.
Thank you so much, Ken. And we're looking forward to how that would go here on the JoyNews channel. You can watch it live. We will be streaming on all our social media handles as well. We're JoyNews on TV. Please stay with us. We'll still talk politics after this quick turn. And indeed, the NPP will decide on the 31st of January. We'll be bringing you live coverage here on the JoyNews channel, and we're still putting the spotlight on the NPP race. This afternoon, the Center for Public Discourse, Analysis and Media Monitoring study shows that former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is dominating media coverage on political discourse ahead of his competitors. Of 236 campaign items analyzed, he alone accounts for 130, which is more than half, by the way, of the number of items sampled. While 93.28% of his coverage is political, he is the only candidate appearing across all other subject areas. Kennedy Ejapon, we know, follows with 54 items, 92.5% political, with limited economic and social coverage and none in health or religion. Brian's coverage is entirely political, 100%. Dr. Yao Osei-Dichum, the former education minister, records 20 items, namely political, economic, social, and religion. And of course, Kwabena Ejapon has the least visibility. Overall, the findings show media discourse overwhelmingly centered on politics, leaving little room for social, economic, health, or religious issues. Bawumia stands out for both volume and thematic spread, while the others remain largely confined to political coverage. Well, on your screens now are details of that report. We're walking you through it. And also, I have the lead researcher join the conversation here on the pulse. And we'll just go through some of the key findings. The most visible candidate based on the data we have, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, we see here at 55%. Kennedy Ejapon follows closely, 23%. Brian Ejapon, 11%. Also, Dr. Yao Osei-Dichum, 8%, and Kwabena Ejapon, 2%. When it comes to competence, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia appears to be leading as well, 48.2%. Kennedy Ejapon follows closely, 35.7%. Brian Ejapon, 8.9%. Dr. Yao Osei-Dichum, 5.4%. Kwabena Ejapon, 1.8%. When it comes to humility, based on the evaluation and media monitoring that the Center for Public Discourse Analysis did, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia stands at 46%. Brian Ejapon follows closely with 23%. So here you can see a shift when it comes to humility. People's perception of Kennedy Ejapon appears to have drifted a bit, and so Brian Ejapon then moves closer to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia with 23%. Yao Osei-Dichum, 23%. They seem to have the same perception based on the sample. And we'll be delving into that. We'll have the lead researcher here on the JoyNews channel just to delve into the sample size and what went into this data. Also, Kennedy Ejapon there at 7%. Now, when it comes to intelligence, the people have high perception of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 66.7%, Kennedy Ejapon, 27.8%, and Dr. Yao Osei-Dichum, 5.6%. We'll find out from the lead researcher what happened to the other competitors when it comes to intelligence, and then we'll delve into honesty as well. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 55.6%, Kennedy Ejapon, 33.3%, Dr. Yao Osei-Dichum, 11.1%. And thankfully, I have with me Professor H.K. Sika Anko. He's lead researcher and associate professor at the University of Media Arts. We appreciate your time here on the Pulse. Let's just delve into it. Let's look at the sample size. How many media outlets do you use to curate this data?
Yeah, thank you very much. We had quite a number of news houses that we used for this: GBC Online, 3 News, Peace FM, Metro TV, Joy, City News. So that's 6 of them that we used. And so we collected the data over a 5-month period on each of these websites. And so what happened was that we collected all the stories, that were published on the candidates over this period. So it has a wide mix of it. If you look at it, you can find JVC, which is a state news organization. You find JoyNews and Metro, which are private, City as well, private. But then you have Peace FM, which is also local as well. So that's quite a wide variety there.
And with the time frame, from which period did you use to curate the data?
Yeah, so we did this from August last year, right up until January 2026.
I see. And let's look at the number of items you sampled and what influenced the segregation of the items.
Yeah, so one of the key things that was important in terms of the selection of the stories that we used was that these stories have to be related to the presidential primaries, 1. 2, they had to be related to the candidates who were contesting. Once we did that, we used a methodology, content analysis, which is, the golden standard when you are analyzing media content. We also predicated this on previous scholarly studies. In fact, the study was modeled on the Pew Research Center's Center for Excellence in Journalism Media Monitoring Project, as well as other studies on presidential primaries, a kaleidoscope of past scholars who had studied presidential primaries, including Professor Patterson from Harvard University. So based on this, we were able to come up with the variables that were important to measure when you are analyzing coverage of presidential primaries. And these variables have been deemed important across nations. They include the subject matter of the study, whether it's political, economic, or social or health, so that we get to see the sort of things that are being covered. We also have a focus on the leadership qualities or the personal characteristics, because research has shown that one of the biggest determinants of great leaders or of presidents is the way in which their personal qualities or character or leadership qualities as well show the kind of presidents that they would be. And then we also looked at the frames of coverage in terms of if they focus on past, present, or future as well. So these were the sort of things that we're looking out for. And then lastly, we're also looking out at the angle of coverage for the media. Were they focusing on the issues? Were they focusing just on the personalities? Were they focusing on political strategy? Or they were looking at other things? So these were the parameters upon which the research was conducted.
And I observed that when it comes to humility, the numbers appear to tilt in the favor of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. In fact, he was leading throughout, but then we see some shift when it comes to Kennedy Agyapong, Brian Champong, and people's perception about if indeed he's humble. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so, like I said previously, personal character or leadership qualities have come up as a very good indicator of the nature of a president. And so the breakdown of the leadership qualities or the personal character variables were based on what others had done over the years. And one of the things that voters try to look out for is their disposition towards the electorate. And when you look at the media coverage, for instance, it looked like it reflected some of this personal character or qualities. It tended to be the case that the stories on personal character, some of them tended to focus on the quality of humility or respect. And so you'd find out that a lot of times when people talked about Dr. Bawumia, it was within that particular frame or within that particular narrative, whether it was a media interview or it was a news discussion or it was a reportage from the campaign platform or whatever. Those particular frames or the reporting tended to reflect this particular personal quality, and a lot of it, about 46% of it, or a huge percentage of it, was tilted towards Dr. Bawumia. And so it reflects the public sentiments in which people have thought in previous research that he is somebody who has always displayed that particular quality of humility. We also tended to look at empathy. And when you look at empathy over there as well, he tended to dominate because of some of the gestures and his rhetoric that he gave. But, at least when you look at the quality of honesty, that is one in which, although Dr. Bawumia leads, you see that Kennedy inches up there a little bit. And probably it's because of the frame that he has, or the image that he has as a straight talker or as a blunt talker. This happens to be one of the areas that he performed very, very strongly among the personal quality or the personal characteristics. But when you come to what the coverage thinks in terms of whether they are intelligent or smart, or if they are able to do the job, you see that Dr. Bawumia dominates there, 66.7%. So to a large extent, he's seen as capable, he's seen as intelligent, he's seen as very, very competent when it comes to that particular frame.
And we know that based on your survey, there are other gray areas which the media is failing to cover. You say they focus largely on politics, but other areas are missing. Tell us about that and how that will even influence the perception of individuals about the candidates.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And overall, during elections, whether it's a primary or the presidential, we all agree that the media has a major role to play. And the coverage of the media helps us to also assess their performance in terms of what they are focusing on. Because an assessment of this particular coverage gives us a certain idea or indication as to what they are focusing on. Are they focusing on the issues? Are they focusing on just mundane or peripheral things? Is the coverage reflecting the voting process? Does it have enough information about the rights of the voters or the delegates, or the processes that are involved? Are those processes objective? Are people well informed enough? So it's a reflection of our own democratic structures and our own democratic systems. And the primaries are not just important for the NPP, but for the country, because they are the foundation upon which our democracy is built. And so as the primaries go, so goes the nation. And so when you look at the coverage, a major concern for most researchers has been the fact that there has been an overwhelming coverage on political strategy and what they call the horse race coverage, or the ranking coverage or polling coverage, in terms of who is leading, who is behind, who is ahead, who is dominating in terms of the polls. And when that happens, or when there's a focus on political strategy as well, what is who doing in order to win, when that happens, the focus on the issues suffers greatly in terms of the vision, the plans, scrutinizing their policies in terms of healthcare, economics, and other things. That then suffers, and then the public is at a disservice. And so we've seen that particular problem here again, and I think this is a useful lesson moving forward in terms of coverage, the need to focus more on issue coverage and move beyond the horse race coverage, and then delve into the issues for the sake of public policy.
And finally, we have just 48 hours to that crucial election. Based on the different items you have sampled, what perception is being drilled into the minds of the delegates?
Well, I mean, you look at the coverage across board, and there is a pattern that is developing in terms of what they focus on. If you look at the candidates, there's a huge focus on Dr. Bawumia, for instance. There's a major focus on political strategy. There's a focus also on his personal qualities. I would say these are the two major things that come up for him. And so it probably reflects that this are some of the areas in which the campaign is focusing on. Some of the candidates, especially Dr. Duchum, Dr. Brian Champong, and Mr. Kwabena Jipon, they haven't been so remarkable in terms of their coverage. But when you also look at Kennedy Jipon, the coverage has focused mostly as well on his political tactics as an insurgent candidate. And so I think this also shows us that this is how the candidates are billing themselves or are framing themselves. The fact of the matter is that when delegates go in there to vote, they are looking at the wider political ecology or the wider strand of political coverage to also make up their minds to see who is viable, who is electable. And the media tends to confirm some sort of viability or some sort of credibility on the candidates based on the type of frames or the types of angles that they use to cover. And so these are some of the things that they are looking at before they enter into those voting booths to make up their choices. And so research like this then gives us some idea as to the wider political discourse space, some of the factors that would be at play going into the elections. And so the results then help us to understand the factors or the nature of the elements that is likely to determine the outcome of the election tomorrow, on Saturday. And so when that happens, we are able to appreciate the outcome even better.
Thank you so much, Professor H. Skanku, for your time here on The Pulse. Away from that, Member of Parliament for Kandai Machindam has spoken of betrayal and intimidation by some senior colleagues on the majority side of the House during the year-long legal battle over his seat. Now, although the Supreme Court has settled the controversy with a 4-1 decision, a ruling that the High Court obviously has to respect, now that that decision they made to annul the election, has been flipped. Now we are hearing from the man himself in an exclusive interview on PM Express with my colleague Evans Mensah. Tell us what exactly he has gone through during this period of legal impasse.
A lot will change.
Tell me.
I'll be more calm than before. People that I used to talk to, people that I thought were all together, I've seen that it's not the same.
Explain. I thought you said everybody supported you. Not everybody.
Not the minority side.
Oh, you mean the NDC side? Okay.
It's not going to be the same.
Expand on that for me. What did they do? What happened there?
I don't know. You see, we are colleagues. We are all members of Parliament, and we all know how we struggled to win a seat in Ghana's Parliament. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And for you to deliberately decide that, look, I must get my colleague out of Parliament for no reason, I find it difficult. Because I don't know why you will want me out of Parliament. I have not offended you. You don't come from the area. You don't know the geographical area of the place. You don't know what I do for the people. And for some reason, you have taken it as a project that you don't want to see me in Parliament. Let me tell you, when we started this 9th Parliament, a colleague approached me and told me that, look, we will get you out of this Parliament.
Even before the case was
Even before this case started. And I told him that, my brother, did you see me here during the 8th Parliament? When I lost, did you see me here? I have no business here when I lost the 8th Parliament. I am here because the people asked me to come. But since you say you are going to get me out of here, you are not my God. Let my God speak for me. That's what a colleague tells you.
Is this an ordinary colleague or somebody in leadership?
I'm just telling you, this is what a colleague tells you.
So this,
on their front bench.
I see.
Well, he has called for calm in the constituency as he believes he will win the NDC's intended review application.
I think that if the lawyers will be honest to him, they will know that they will not go for any review. If they will be honest and sincere with him, they will tell him that, please, prepare for 2028. And if you are the choice of the people, they will give you the opportunity. They won't go to waste their time at the Supreme Court because it is clear. The 4-1 I saw today clearly tells me that the law is the law. And the Supreme Court judges have held the integrity of this country to the very highest esteem. Yes, I am from the opposition. Yes, I don't have powers behind me. They look into my face, they look into the case and realize that, look, this young man has a case. Okay, they never decided to give it to the ruling government. That is integrity. That is sincerity. Tells me that any man walking on the streets can also get justice. So if they decide to go for a review, I still believe that the justice I got today, I'll get the same justice. I believe in that. Just when I stepped out of the Supreme Court, I made some calls to some leadership in Bandai to make sure that they keep the youth in check.
Okay.
Well, I pray that our call to the constituency, the youth will respect it. And their call to the other side will also respect it. And this will pass very soon. It shouldn't take us more than 4 days.
Well, he's also been reacting to the outcome of the case in court, and also a constitutional lawyer, Justice Abdullahi, says Marchi Yindam cannot go to Parliament yet when the House reconvenes on Tuesday. Here's why.
My honorable friend would have to employ the tools available by informing the Clerk of Parliament of this, and the information would be through the orders or the judgments that the Supreme Court delivered. It would be prudent that he obtains copies and inform the Clerk of Parliament and indeed the Electoral Commission. Even though that is not his job, the Electoral Commission part is not his job. But it would be helpful if he takes steps to notify them, even though they may not necessarily rely on that, but that would be a good notice for them, just in case they have anything up their sleeves, to hold on until official communication from Parliament reaches them.
So he cannot just walk into the House?
You cannot just walk in. At this point, walking in there will be just a matter of celebration and not an official admission by the House of his official presence.
Away from that, commuters on the Media to Kotoku Road in the Ga West municipality are familiar with the challenges associated with plying that stretch. At the heart of it is the Ajin Kotoku market, the onion trading hub of the Greater Accra region. The traders lament that customers are hesitant to visit, and the poor road is pushing up the cost of doing business. In today's feature series, Roads of Peril, my colleague Pel Ofori takes a closer look at this lifelong issue and how it's actually affecting the individuals in the area.
I need a sepa from Kotoku comedy and the Kwana sepa wiki be a shop. Is here so spare parts and wiring.
Onion to link from Ajin Kotoku linking Accra, Medina, and the rest is very short distance, but due to the bad nature of the road, we are suffering.
It delays our movement. Then also, before you get back to wherever you're going, you get tired. You have waste problems.
At the Ajin Kotoku Onion Market in the Ga West municipality, Osman Mohammed Sidi plies his trade. He sells onions transported from northern Ghana and neighboring countries. He and hundreds of other traders were relocated here from the Agbeglochi market as part of a decongestion exercise. But years on, access to the market remains a major challenge. Osman says the stretch of road linking Media, 3 Junction and Ajin Kotoku has deteriorated badly, making business costly and uncertain.
Road linking from 3 Junction to Ajin Kotoku, Media to Ajin Kotoku. Even when Mr. President, when he came during the campaign, he came to Ajin Kotoku here. We made that concern to him that Mr. President, the former government, they promised us that they are bringing us to Ajin Kotoku. We made a lot of complaints, and the roads are the key this thing, which is linking the customers to the onion market. But yes, still they didn't do it. And Mr. President too, John Mahama, who also came to the Ajin Kotoku market to come and do his campaign, we made this complaint to him. We've been complaining several times that the road, you can see yourself, there are a lot of onions here, but the customers are not coming. The customers are complaining about the road. If you come, even the drivers, if they come, they said you want to carry the load from Ajin Kotoku to, let's say, Link Agbuloshi or Medina, they'll charge huge amount due to the bad nature of the road. If not because of that, only want to link from Ajin Kotoku, linking Accra, Medina, and the rest is very short distance. But due to the bad nature of the road, we are suffering. We are suffering. We need the government to come into it. We are suffering.
Osman is not alone. Fellow trader Zeba Abdul Samad shares the same sentiment.
Our main problem is the road, because there are a lot of people from Kasua to this place. Because of the road, they don't come. You see, especially from Trade Junction to this market. The road is very, very, very bad. You see, at times when it rains, it's not easy. So that's our problem. And what do we call it? The Media Junction, from Media Junction to this place to the same thing, rough road.
But it is not only the traders who are affected. Drivers and commuters who use the road say its poor condition has made travel increasingly difficult.
Ani de asepa from Kotoku comedy ani de kwana sepa week bia be ko shop esi anso no spare parts ne boy den nti yes man so maybe be found my why ya pomacho passengers nso mo complain sa who afa na na driver to me bona me sisi ni na ya kwana enye ni nti anse yes man so me be kwana my why ya pomacho wa ba no me be kwana my na we dey bre.
It delays our movement. Then also, before you get back to wherever you're going, you get tired. You have waist problems. And, at least they should fix it for us. If not the asphalt, the normal ones, I think it will be okay. And you can imagine coming, the stress that you pass through. The drivers don't want to even come.
The road hasn't always been like this, but residents say over the years, a lack of maintenance and heavy-duty trucks plying this route has made it difficult to use.
Beyond the market, the Media Ajin Kotoku stretch serves as a key access road to several factories. The poor state of the road slows the movement of trucks supplying goods to these businesses. At the Kotoku Electoral Area Office, Assembly Member Udate Mohammed admits the state of the road is stifling development and discouraging new investment.
When the road is done, for first one, the industries, I think their business is going to grow. A lot of other companies will come and buy their products. Because of the road, a lot of companies are willing to come to some of the companies. But because of the road, they are not coming. They are comparing it to a place that the road, it's good for them. So that at least going to a mechanic or doing maintenance will be less. So it's my dream that when the road is constructed, the companies on the stretch from Media to Kotoku, their business is going to boom. And I'm praying that the road should be fixed.
He also points to steps being taken to address the issue.
Well, I remember the last assembly meeting, I asked a question to Engineer Edrin. He works with the urban roads. I was honorable, when is the road going to be fixed from Media to Kotoku? He said, honorable, your road is 4.2 kilometers. We are waiting to come and do a feasibility studies. When the feasibility studies is done, I can assure you that the road will be fixed.
For traders and commuters, they say until repairs are done, the challenges along the Media Ajin Kotoku road will persist. For JoyNews, I am Pale Ofori.
Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Well, this afternoon, neglected tropical diseases, often called NTDs, continue to affect millions of people, particularly in low-income and vulnerable communities. Yet they remain among the least talked about public health challenge. From river blindness to elephantiasis, these conditions still pose a significant burden on Ghana. Well, ahead of World NTDs Day, which is happening tomorrow, we're taking a closer look at what NTDs are, why they are even called neglected in the first place, the impact they have, and Ghana's success so far. We'll also be highlighting the challenges that remain in the fight to eliminate them from our country. Joining me now in the studio is Dr. Joseph Opare, his Programs Manager, Neglected Tropical Diseases, Ghana Health Service, and David Ajiman, his Country Director, Site Savers. They are major donors when it comes to all our efforts in Ghana to look at NTD. So I'd like to start with Dr. Opare. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Let me start with you. Why do we even call them neglected in the first place?
Okay. So in the first place, we are looking at 21 diverse conditions, diseases that affect the poor, right? And they're also found in remote communities and poor environments. They are called neglected. Why? Because they don't kill. Okay, the diseases do not kill directly. They come in the form of chronic diseases. Formerly, they were called neglected. Why? Because some people found out that funding for these conditions were ignored. Right, but now the history has changed, okay? Then also, when it comes to funding per se, this is where we have issues with getting funding to manage these conditions, worldwide. Then also, when it comes to the community level, these people affected are found in remote communities, and of course, these cases affect the poor as well. So because of that, they hardly come out to be seen and to be treated. Yeah.
And let's look at our situation here in Ghana.
Okay.
What are our numbers and what area are we even neglected in the first place?
All right. So I'll talk about endemicity of these conditions. So as at now, we have onchocerciasis as one of the neglected tropical diseases endemic in 149 districts, right? We have lymphatic filariasis being transmitted in 2 districts. We have schistosomiasis also found in every district in Ghana. You have leprosy. We do record about 270 cases of leprosy each year. Borrelia ulcer, we have them in about 350 districts in Ghana. So we talk about endemicity of these cases in the districts which we live in. Right.
And let's look at the regional breakdown. Okay. Do you have data suggesting which regions are most affected and how best we can tailor solutions for those regions?
Okay, so as I did mention, let me start with trachoma. Some years ago, we had the upper regions. We have the 5 northern regions affected, okay? But since 2018, trachoma has been a thing of the past. We've been able to deal with trachoma. So when it comes to, as I said, lymphatic filariasis, we have 2 districts, okay, that are at risk with the infection, right? Then, as I mentioned, that every year, okay, 270 leprosy cases are recorded, almost 270 leprosy cases. Then we have schistosomiasis in almost every district, and soil-transmitted ailments also in the same vein. Yeah, so we have these conditions dotted everywhere, okay? But when it's about trachoma, we saw most of these cases in the northern part. When it's about lymphatic filariasis, getting elephantiasis and also hydroceles, most of them are found in the 2 upper regions. But these cases are also found down south as well. Okay, but when you talk about concentration, that is it.
And then how do I even prevent some of these diseases? I'm just thinking, looking at the regional breakdown, the areas, because most often than not, we do a lot of traveling by virtue of our job. You don't know what to do to be safe wherever you go. So walk us through the procedure and what exactly I can do to prevent some of these.
That's a very, very good question. Let's start with the various diseases, okay? When you talk about lymphatic filariasis, all right, we are talking about taking seriously mass drug administration. We have medicines that we give to the entire population, the population that is endemic, the communities that are endemic, we do what we call mass drug administration, right? Then also, what is the vector here? We are talking about the same mosquito, right? It's a vector. So all that goes into prevention of, let's say, malaria when it comes to the vector control. We also apply these issues over here, sleeping under the bed nets, a key, using repellents and insecticide spray and all that. So that is for lymphatic filariasis. When it comes to onchocerciasis, we are talking about getting involved in mass drug administration. We have a very good medicine, a donation that we use, we give periodically twice in the year so that infected communities could get cured, right? So you give the medicine, it's taken out of the parasites are taken out of the blood, the circulatory system, and you don't suffer from the complications of onchocerciasis. Then schistosomiasis is about avoiding open defecation and urination, right? So there's hygiene here. We are supposed to make sure that we observe good sanitary practices, right? And also getting rid of the water snails from the stagnant waters, which is a bit difficult. So hygiene is key here. Mass drug administration is another issue. Then making sure that we avoid these kind of snails, which is a bit difficult. Let's talk about leprosy. It's about getting those who have the condition. Contact tracing is key over here. And you know, leprosy is a condition of the skin, okay, and sometimes of the skin. And over here, they present as patchy, reddish, or whitish skin patches, all right? Whitish or reddish skin patches. And when you look at the site, you find out that there's loss of sensation, okay? So with these conditions, what do we do? It's about detecting these cases clinically, all right, doing lab tests as well. Then we make sure that we link up with the contacts so that they could be treated free of charge. In the same vein, when it comes to, let's say, disease like yaws, it's also a skin disease. We get it through contact, yaws and scabies. So it's about avoiding overcrowding, avoiding usage of common, wearing the same clothes, usage of sponge, the same sponge, towels, and so forth. Which sometimes
so the married couples, they should not share the same towel?
It's not the best. They shouldn't.
I see.
Because if one has the infection, it could be transmitted to the other person. So basically, when it comes to prevention of neglected tropical diseases, we are looking at mass drug administration, where we have the endemicity, we do the treatment, right? We observe good sanitary practices here. Then also we make sure that we have potable water, which is key. We avoid overcrowding and so forth. These are basic things that we need to do to make sure that we get rid of NTDs from the country.
And you agree that we need a lot of sensitization, especially in rural communities, to drive home the message. It will hope to tame the numbers, but then you would need money to do that. So let me come to Mr. David Ajiman, who is seated next to you. Thank you for your time here on The Pulse. You've been financing some of government's efforts to actually deal with NTDs. So far, what's the response? Is your money making any impact in Ghana?
Yes, a lot. Site Service has been funding the government of Ghana since the 1970s, actually. And in 2018, we were one of the key organizations that supported the government of Ghana to eliminate trachoma. So that is a huge impact. And also, currently, if you take river blindness, for example, we have reduced the transmission. The prevalence has really gone down, and many of the districts that were previously endemic are currently recording zero prevalence. And if you look at lymphatic filariasis, for example, there are 119 districts that were endemic from the beginning, and currently there are just 2 of them remaining that are, remaining endemic. So yes, I think we have been making the impact with the effort of everybody, all stakeholders. We are making impact.
I see. And let me come back to you, Doc. Are we indeed making impact? How are sensitization drives going, especially in our regions?
Okay, so really we are making impact. Okay, Ghana, we have 14 neglected tropical diseases, or I should say 14 neglected tropical diseases have been identified, right? but we have been able to eliminate some of them. When you talk about Guinea worm, it has been eradicated since 2018, trachoma since 2018, 2023 we were able to eliminate human African trypanosomiasis. And it's all about the campaigns we've started or the campaigns our predecessors started and so forth. So it's about awareness creation. And this is exactly what we are doing, okay, now, okay, we have to celebrate the World NTD Day. So awareness creation is happening tomorrow.
I'll come to you to tell me your plans for that celebration, but I'll come back to Mr. Ajiman because there are funding challenges I'm sure you're experiencing. How are you dealing with that internally?
Right, so we've been working with stakeholders. I think this is a very important time for the government to come in to support. This disease, NTDs, have been donor-driven, and the site service has been a key partner for years. But as you rightly said, you know, the global situation is changing as far as funding is concerned. So some of the things we are doing include, sensitizing key stakeholders. I think we need stakeholders in Ghana to support the process at this point. Looking back to some of the diseases like guinea worm, we made the most impact when the government, for example, earmarked funding, for the eradication. And we want to see that now. So we're calling on the government and other stakeholders in Ghana to support site savers in this effort.
And then I'll come to Doc because do you have the money to support some of these initiatives? Let's look at our financial records, especially because of our projections. I'm sure you have targets for the year 2026. Do you have the money?
Well, as Mr. Ajiman rightly said, our source of funding, the source, we have two sources here. So we have partners supporting, and also we have the government supporting us in diverse ways, right? So most of the activities are going to be sponsored by the partners, and one of them, the bigger one, is Site Savers Now. We also have Hope Rises, we have World Vision, we have Water Aid, Growth Aid, and NISWAD, and other partners. Of course, we are also expecting more from the side of the government, but so far, a lot has been committed into it. Our salaries are being paid, we have places of work, and when it comes to the field work, there's also commitment, but just that we need more. So that is it.
Need more, like Oliver, you're always asking for more. But then you must have targets for the year 2026, especially as we're going to be celebrating World NTD Day tomorrow. What are your targets and how do you plan to even achieve them?
All right, so we are saying that we are going by the WHO targets, And the first one says that by the year 2030, at least 100 countries should have been able to eliminate one neglected tropical diseases. So in our case, we have about 3 now, right?
So you're on course.
We are on course, and we hope that by that time, lymphatic filariasis, we are looking at maybe a year or 2 should be a thing of the past. Schistosomiasis, we had a target of controlling the disease, but now we are looking at elimination. So we are looking at 2030 as well. Leprosy, borrelial ulcer, we are looking at the control aspect. Leprosy elimination, borrelial ulcer, the control aspect. And we have all the plans to make sure that we're able to achieve our target by 2030, right? So that is it.
And we're looking forward to that. What are your activities for the day? I know that you have something planned. Tell me about it.
So in the first place, you are invited, to do what? To come and help us create awareness about the impact of neglected tropical diseases in our communities and the fact that these conditions could be eliminated, right? So come and help us do that, right? All hands on deck. So first, there's going to be a float, at Medina, and we are all going to showcase neglected tropical diseases, messages of prevention and awareness creation. So there's going to be a float by health workers and school pupils. Then there's going to be a grand derby, right, which we expect our leadership to be there. Of course, they'll be there, right, and all the stakeholders. Then there's going to be media engagement. So what we are doing now, we are going to continue that tomorrow. And for some time.
And the media engagement is very important for me because
Exactly.
I have a key concern. How do you plan to bridge the funding gap now that, you know, U.S. aid has withdrawn some of their funding for Ghana? We also hear that Trump and the U.S. have withdrawn from the World Health Organization, so that's also chipping away at some of their financial gains. I'm sure that is impacting us as a country. How are you bridging that gap?
The first kind of effort is like what we are doing. We are selling neglected tropical disease and we are looking for buyers, all right? So we hope, and we've made our concerns, we've aired our concerns already. He said that the most important thing here is that with neglected tropical disease, they could be prevented, right? And could be treated, all right? So that is it. So all that goes into the prevention, all that goes into the treatment, we are telling everybody to come and support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc, and thank you, Mr. David Ajman, for your time here on The Pulse. We appreciate your time and company. Well, away from that, the Education Minister, Haruna Iddrisu, has cut sword for the construction of new ICT and science laboratories at Pope John Senior High School as part of government's efforts to honor the late Defense Minister, Dr. Amani Buama.
The move comes as the school struggles with inadequate facilities. Of its two ICT laboratories, only one is functional, with just 25 working computers. The second lab remains non-operational, forcing students studying information technology to learn without access to computers. After touring the school and assessing the state of the laboratories, Education Minister Haruna Iddrisu directed GetFund to convert an ongoing staff project into new ICT and science laboratories.
We built an ICT science laboratory here and name it posthumously after Dr. Amani Buama. I'm going to go and revise part of the GetFund allocations and make some money available for this to start in the 2026 formula of the GetFund. But we have a dedicated ICT, well-resourced, not what I saw where the students are learning ICT with a notebook.
He later performed a brief sword-cutting ceremony, with construction expected to begin before the end of the year.
Which stood out regrettably to be his last official visit and ceremony to this school. He promised you this story building of infrastructure. I hereby declare it formally the contractor is doing well. So God bless.
As part of a familiarization visit, Haruna Iddrisu also inspected the $90 million University of Engineering and Agricultural Sciences at Bonso. Construction of the project stalled due to an outstanding $9.8 million and a cumulative debt of about $28.6 million.
It's important that I emphasize that the stalling of this project, even in the words of former President Nana Akufo-Addo, his darkest hour was debt exchange. That is how much long-term damage was done to the Ghanaian economy and its management. Unsustainable debt that has affected the effective completion of this project and the commencement of it.
He assured contractors that the finance minister would take steps to release the funds to enable the completion of the project and allow the university to begin admitting students in October 2026.
I'm happy to formally announce, subject to Cabinet and Parliament passing the bill of the University of Engineering and Agricultural Sciences into law, and on or before 30th March, that will be done, subject to the President's pleasure. Once Cabinet gets the bill adopted, I will get it through Parliament and get it passed into law for the establishment of the University of Engineering and Agricultural Sciences. I'm also happy to announce that effective October 2026, this university will take off with its first admission of 800 students.
Reporting for JoyNews, Collins Frempong.
Well, away from that, Tetracore Energy Group, under its subsidiary Tetracore Gas Ghana, has commissioned a $15 million compressed natural gas facility at Pong. President of Tetracore Energy Group, William Olakunle, says the company remains committed to continued investment in Ghana to expand energy access and drive growth across the continent. There's more in the following report.
Tetracore Energy Group has commissioned Ghana's first compressed natural gas facility at Pong, here in the Greater Accra region, a feat in the nation's transition to cleaner energy. The $15 million facility provides a safer, cleaner, and more affordable gas option for industrial, commercial, and transport consumers, while enhancing national energy security and cutting carbon emissions. It is complemented by a 10 mm SCAF pressure regulation and metering system and a 2.5-kilometer pipeline network constructed to international safety and operational benchmarks. Local participation featured prominently in the project, with Ghanaian engineers and professionals supporting capacity building, skills transfer, and employment creation. Here is President and Chief Executive Officer of Tetracore Energy Group, Olakunle Williams.
Plans are already underway to establish piped and virtual gas distribution facilities across key demand energy centers in the country. And like I said earlier, we intend to scale up this facility to 10 million scope per day, and also establish key energy parks across key locations with a plan to deploy over $80 million in capex over the next 18 months to rapidly scale and spread our energy footprint across key markets in Ghana. But also, I want to use this medium to announce a major project that we are very particular about, which we've commenced, which we intend to realize very, very quickly. And that has to do with the launch of our 1,200 metric tons per day urea production facility, as well as a 5,000 barrels a day synthetic gas to liquid production facility.
Managing Director in charge of subsidiaries, Tetracore Energy Group, Oladayo Williams, touches on long-term sustainability and scalability of the project.
What this definitely signifies is that Africa is beginning to take shape in terms of positioning itself for cleaner sources of energy that propels our industrial and our energy growth across the continent. So it's something to be proud of. It's a 5.1 million SCOF per day CNG facility that would support not just industries but also mobility CNG and auto CNG, across Ghana. And we hope that this would be the beginning of additional energy infrastructures like this in Ghana and generally across the African continent. For us, the model for us is to continue to scale, and that scale is obviously driven by very active demand. We've looked at the Ghanaian market energy sector. We've seen the active demand for energy that Ghana has, but beyond just energy, cleaner, like everybody has said over the commissioning, cleaner and affordable source of energy.
Nigeria's High Commissioner to Ghana, Moses Ifedayo Adeoye, described the development as a boost to regional energy cooperation.
This occasion is not only a milestone for Tetracore Energy Group, but also a symbol of regional cooperation, private sector leadership, and African-led energy solutions. Tetracore's investment in Ghana reflects the growing integration of West African economies and the shared belief that our energy future must be built through collaboration, innovation, and mutual trust. As a Nigerian-founded enterprises operating successfully in Ghana, Tetracore exemplifies the kind of cross-border partnership that strengthens ECOWAS integration and deepens economic ties between Nigeria and Ghana.
Meanwhile, the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapo, representing President John Mahama, commended Tetracore Energy Group for its strategic investment.
The cost of liquid fuels sometimes can be as much as 3 times that of gas. And so gas is always a preferred alternative. It is cheaper, it is cleaner, it gives you better output in terms of energy. And so we'll always prioritize gas when it comes to fuel consumption as compared to liquid fuels. Certainly, today marks a defining moment in Ghana's energy journey. We are gathered here not merely to commission a facility, but to celebrate vision, innovation, and progress. The commissioning of Ghana's first ever CNG facility represents more than a technical achievement. It is a decisive step towards a cleaner, more resilient, and more sustainable energy future.
The company is targeting over $80 million for nationwide gas expansion and more than $800 million for downstream projects including urea, ammonia, and gas to liquids. The ceremony attracted key stakeholders including Zenith Bank, Ghana Gas, the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, the Energy Commission, VALCO, traditional authorities, security agencies, among other partners.
Away from that, the dry wind sweeps across the wide plains of Ghana's Savannah region, carrying with it the dust of a land growing weaker each year. Once green farmlands now crack under the sun's heat, while rivers and streams dry up long before the next rainy season arrives. Here, the changing climate is forcing people to make desperate choices and turning neighbors into rivals. The following report has more.
For the herdsmen, migration is no choice. It is survival. Their cattle are their livelihood and their culture. As pastures in the Sahel dry up, many are forced to migrate south into Ghana, driving conflict. The General Secretary of Fulbe in Ghana, Yakubu Musa Bari, argues that the herders are victims of circumstance.
It's because of the climate change. You know, if the climate change, even if the herdsman did not move the animals themselves will move. I get to look for a pasture and look for water to take.
But when herds enter farmlands, farmers see it as an invasion, an attack on their sweat and their survival. These encounters lead to heated confrontations, destruction of property, and sometimes the tragic loss of life.
The year 2020, the Fulani man has to cudgel my uncle in the farm, in his grandma's farm, and he became paralyzed and died after 3 years. You see what the Fulani herdsmen are doing to us. I think it's not so good for us in Savannah region.
On the other side, Musa Jallo, a migrant herdsman from Mali, speaks of his desperate journey. For Jallo, the open land is meant for all. His way of life is a tradition passed down through generations. To stop the cycle of misunderstanding, the Savannah Regional Peace Council, led by a Catholic priest, created a mixed mediation community-level dialogue platform.
Mostly, herders took their cattle to the farms in the night, so midnight or night grazing. Galvanize the, proposal for dialogue, engagement, and also the formation of the mixed mediation committees.
His efforts later yielded something positive at Makuma, Malue, Madari, and Tinga communities, where community members were able to pay back 94,000 Ghana cedis to the farmers as compensation. While crucial, dialogue alone cannot fix a problem rooted in land scarcity and climate change. The intervention must be structural. The only consensus-driven, long-term solution to end open grazing and prevent further bloodshed is the establishment of controlled, modern livestock ranching facilities. The Savannah Regional Minister Salisu Bey Awuribe strongly supports the model.
Private investor can come, be able to provide that facility, of course for a fee, for the number of cattle that will be under his or her control. And this can be another way, because when you provide, you must provide water. The animals, apart from grazing, must have water to feed. Some wells may be dug or some dams may be constructed. And all this is something that we can think through to be able to have a better way of harnessing the animals. There are countries whereby indeed their flock is more than us. and they are getting the highest and best use of their land and flock. But they don't have this type of conflict.
There was a time that government decided to bring the policy of creating pastures and paddocks so that at some point all animals will be diverted to those pasture lands and paddocks. This project or this policy has been in the pipeline for so long.
This story is brought to you by JoyNews in partnership with CDKN Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from CLARE R4I Opportunities Fund.
Well, JoyNews research is learning that Ghana's cocoa regulator, Cocoa Board, is rethinking its cocoa financing strategy after a shift away from international syndicated loans is leaving some farmers unpaid and raising concerns about the sustainability of the 2025-26 crop season. With global cocoa prices falling and international buyers unwilling to pay up front, thousands of farmers now face delay in payments, putting investment in the next harvest at risk. Well, join me now on Zoom is PRO for Ghana's cocoa regulator, Cocoa Board, Jerome. Sam, we appreciate your time here on the Pulse. There are a lot of questions I have for you. Cocoa farmers say they've not been paid since November. Can you confirm if this indeed is the case?
This is not entirely the case.
Okay, what's the situation per your briefing?
Yeah, so I say it's not entirely the case because when you come to Cocoa Board, we have this financing model where the off-taker do pre-finance some of the purchase of the cocoa. So all those off-takers do have reps or licensed buying companies that they mandate that we give their monies to. So all those licensed buying companies do have money. So they are able to pay farmers that they've made purchases of their cocoa. However, there are some too who, quite unfortunately, did not have any direct off-taker. And those were the people or companies that went for their own source of financing or their own source of funds to purchase cocoa and then present it to Cocoa Board. So they are the ones that Cocoa Board is finalizing other documentations with in respect of making payments. So that's the situation.
Based on the briefing you've received, how many cocoa farmers have been paid? And how many are waiting to be paid? Do you have the numbers at least?
There's no way you can say that Cocoa Board to say that XYZ number of farmers have not been paid. It's really not possible to be done. However, you can say that you have some LBCs that you need to pay because we don't deal directly with the cocoa farmer. So the cocoa farmer has direct interface and dealings with the licensed buying company. So it's possibly will be the licensed buying company that will say that, I mean, a farmer that I deal with, I owe this amount. So Cocoa Board wouldn't be able to because we don't have direct dealings with the farmers.
And then we're learning that your outfit is in deliberation with the Finance Ministry to determine new prices for farmers given the reduction in global cocoa prices. Is this the case?
So it is quite important to state that I shouldn't be the one to say, even to say that Cocoa Board to say that the prices on the international market has reduced. It is something very conspicuous that everybody who really is interested in knowing the price of cocoa should know or does know. So if this has been the case, then it is important for government to decide as to what to do. However, when you come to Cocoa Board, we have ways that we go about in terms of the determination of what cocoa prices. Not even Cocoa Board can say that because there has been a reduction, I am subsequently reviewing the price, upping it or bringing it down. It has to come from the Producer Price Review Committee, that is PPRC. So they have the power to do that. Fortunately, that is being chaired by the Finance Minister. But as we speak, there hasn't been any meeting of a sort to reconsider whether they are reviewing the price upwards or downwards. So the only thing that I can say that, yes, it is a fact that the price on the international markets has reduced drastically. Because if you are to compare in respect of 2024, where the price say was around almost 12,000, but today we are doing a little above 4,000. What is 4,001, 4,002?
So cocoa farmers should expect that there would not be any reduction soon. Briefly, confirm that for me.
Yeah, so what I can confirm is that until there has been a meeting, the PPLC has met to talk about this or to review the price.
Okay.
The price that we set as at August and subsequently reviewing it in October still stands.
Okay, thank you so much, Jerome, for your time here on the Pulse. And that's how we wrap up the Pulse. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Some top stories there. OSP seizes fuel stations, luxury apartments, and cash in 291 million Ghana cedi NPA extortion case. You can go on myjoyonline.com to read that story.